Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist congregation of Terre, Haute. This congregation welcomes all people, regardless of their age, religion, race, nationality, ability, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, or anything else that has been used to divide people. We are a group of people with our own opinions, our own ideas, our own dreams. But we share ideals. We share a common belief in a liberal religion. In our discussions, we may disagree with each other, but we must always remember that what unites us is stronger than what separates us. We must always end the service aware of the love that we have for each other.
Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, bring to us beauty, vision, and joy.
Today's being you, we address the third principle. Spiritual growth isn't about a vertical ascent into heaven, but about growth in every dimension at once. It's spirituality in 3D. Growth in spirit doesn't measure one's proximity to God above, but rather the spaciousness of one's soul, its volume, its capacity, its size. We need souls that can take in the world in all its complexity and diversity, yet still maintain our integrity. We need souls that can love and be in relationship with all of this complexity. Instead of fight or flight, we need a spiritual posture of embrace. The words of Reverend Rob Hardy's All Souls Church, Unitarian, Washington, D.C. Today's opening words. I believe natural beauty has a necessary place in the spiritual development of any individual or any society. I believe that whenever we substitute something man-made and artificial for a natural feature of the earth, we have retarded some part of man's spiritual growth. Words of Rachel Carson.
O earth, you are surpassing fair. From out your store we're daily fed. We breathe your life-supporting air and drink the water that you shed. Yet greed has made us by your face pollute the air, make foul the sea. The folly of the human race is bringing untold misery. Our growing numbers make demands that in your bounty cannot meet. Starvation stalks through hungry lands, and some die hourly in the street. The Eden dream of long ago is vanishing before our eyes. Unwise, unheeding, still we go, destroying hopes of paradise. Has evolution been in vain, that life should perish ere its prime? Or will we from our greed refrain and save our planet while there's time? We must decide without delay if we're to keep a race alive.
We belong to the earth. This we know. The earth does not belong to us. We belong to the earth.
This we know. All things are connected like the blood which unites one family.
All things are connected.
Whatever befalls the earth befalls the sons and daughters of the earth.
We did not weave the web of life. We are merely a strand in it.
Whatever we do to the web, we do to ourselves.
Attributed to Chief Noah South. Our program today, The Land Beneath Our Feet, is presented by Rex Gambill.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to talk to you today about three things. I'm going to talk to you about consumption. I'm going to talk to you about sand and soil. And I'm going to talk to you about water. And I'm going to start with consumption. The reason I'm starting there is every time that I looked at the other items and what's happening with them, it brought me right back to the fact that, damn it, we're eating our earth, we're consuming our earth. We need to do a better job of it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about consumption. Whether or not you've ever thought about it, our entire economic system today is based on consumption. If you look at what's happening today with COVID, and when they talk about the relief programs for COVID, the thing that they're immediately talking about is getting people money to spend. Getting people money so they can buy things. Everything we're doing is based on getting human beings to eat another piece of the earth. Kind of frightening, isn't it? If you don't believe that we're over-consuming, I looked it up, and in the United States alone, there are 47,800 U-Store facilities. Not individual units, but the total facilities. Each of them contains about 46,000 square feet of storage space. Any of you here have one of them? We don't. But we do have in our backyard a storage building, and we have under our house a basement, and we have attached to our house a garage, and darn, they're full. You know, no matter how hard we try, it seems like when we get rid of some stuff, other stuff creeps in. I don't know where it comes from. You know, I'm the first of the baby boomers. I was born in 1946, and all the people that I grew up with and associated with are, you know, of course, baby boomers. And all the baby boomers now are approaching retirement, and their kids have families of their own, and they have grandkids. And we worked our butts off, getting money so we could buy stuff. And Doris asked our daughter here a while back if there was anything that we had that she particularly would want when we're both gone. And the answer was no. The answer was no. And I think that's true with a lot of families. The answer is no. I see every day on Facebook Marketplace, friends of mine are putting up stuff for sale. They're trying to get rid of it. We did the same thing. You know, I'll tell you the truth. We sold enough stuff this year that we bought a new car. That's how much extra junk we had. We had enough stuff that we sold it and bought a new car. And it's kind of frightening when you think that we really didn't want that. We really didn't need it, but we bought it. And when we bought it, we ate a piece of the earth. I'm going to switch now to soil, sand, natural resources in general. We can name a bunch of them. Soil, sand, water, wildlife, plants, animals, gas, oil, air, We have all kinds of natural resources. Anybody out here want to take a guess what the 3 most consumed natural resources are on this planet? Somebody take a guess. Water, okay. I'm sorry? Land? Can you be more specific?
Farmland.
Huh?
Farmland.
No. Anybody? How about air? You know, air and water are number 1 and number 2. Number 3, and I found this hard to believe, is sand. We consume more sand than we do gas and oil. Can you imagine that? And would you believe that with all the deserts that are out there, that the world is now in a sand shortage? Can you believe that? Now, you say we've got all these deserts, we got sand we'll never use, and we do. But there's 2 types of sand. I didn't realize this. This has fascinated me. But there's 2 types of sand. There's sand that was created by wind, and there's sand that was created by water. And the sand that was created by wind is round and smooth, and that's the deserts. And the sand that was created by water is rectangular and angular. And that was created by water, by the oceans and by the rivers and the streams. And the big difference being the round sand is not cohesive. You can't get it to stick together. So it can't be used to make cement. It can't be used to make asphalt. It's not a building material. The one good use that it does have is making glass, if you can find it in a pure enough form, is making glass. Dubai, the city of, or the country of Dubai, sits right on the edge of a huge desert. They decided they wanted more waterfront property, so they went into the oceans around them and everywhere that they could, that they controlled land, and they dredged sand. And because it has that cohesiveness, they were able to build out their shores. And they built so much land that when it came time to put buildings on it, they didn't have enough of this angular sand left to build buildings. Dubai, sitting on the edge of the desert, is now buying sand from Australia. Aussies are selling sand to Arabs. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? China, from 2011 to 2013, with all the urbanization, the mechanization, the industrialization that's going on in China, from 2011 to 2013, China used more sand than the United States used in the entire 20th century. Gangs in India, gangs in Mexico, cartels, whatever you want to call them, are now dealing in sand. Hard to believe. India is so desperate for sand that among the poor people, they're going out into the rivers and they're diving as much as 200 feet deep to bring up sand in baskets and put it in boats and bring it to the shore. They're getting paid $15 a boatload. They're dying from internal bleeding. They're drowning, but it's never reported. The sand is just taken to build a new building, to build a new road. There was enough sand excavated and turned into concrete and asphalt in 2017 to build a wall at the equator, 27 feet wide, 27 feet wide, and 27 feet tall, all the way around the world. We dug that big hole somewhere to get that sand. Consumption, folks, it's there. We're doing it. Can it be reused? Sure it can. You know, there's machines. Doris can tell you there used to be a machine at the recycling center in Greene County that took sand and ground it up, or took glass and ground it up and turned it back to sand. It was available for landscaping, whatever you wanted to use it for. It was good sand. It can be done. It can be used in asphalt. There's roads being built using ground glass, but we're not doing it. We're just going ahead and we're digging another hole in the ground. Okay, I think I've probably made my point about consuming. I want to move on to what's happening to soils. In 1952, my family moved from 20 East Giles Street in Sullivan, Indiana, to rural route to Sullivan, Indiana, 4 miles west of town. We moved onto a farm owned by a man named Hugh Hunt, and that's where I spent my time growing up. I moved out there, and I had 3 sisters and 4 brothers at the time, and over the years, we added a couple more sisters and 1 more brother, so there was quite a clan of us. But we lived on a farm, and we enjoyed that farm. That's where I got a real taste for nature, I think, really liking nature. We lived right at the headwaters of Little Turtle Creek, which became significant to me many, many years later when I actually became a watershed manager for the Turtle Creek watershed. But when I was a kid, one of the big events in the summertime would be a strong thunderstorm, and we would watch the water form in the field across the road, rush across the road, and right on the western edge of our yard, it dropped down into the creek. And we would watch this water rush by. And we couldn't wait, hardly wait, for the couple of hours to go by for the water level to drop. And there would be all this freshly deposited silt and sand there. And we would go out there and we would wade in it up to about here, pretending it was quicksand and hoping we'd get caught. Great fun for us. As I got older and I learned a little more, I learned what was happening. That was the topsoil that was being washed off the fields. And that was taking the very life of the earth. Whether or not you know it, folks, the only thing that allows any life on this earth is the fact that we have a 6-inch layer of topsoil and it rains occasionally. That's the only thing that lets us live. If we didn't have that and it didn't rain, we wouldn't be here. We started heavy farming, mechanized farming, about 150 years ago on soils that had been millions of years developing. And in that 150 years in this country, we have lost 50% of our topsoil. 50% of it's gone. Today we're using it at a rate 10 times what it can be reproduced by nature. Worldwide, we're doing pretty good. China, India, they're losing it at 30 to 60%, or 60 times faster than it can be produced. We're compensating for that in some ways. We're farming bigger. We've started messing with the genetics of plants so they grow more. We're using fertilizers. We're irrigating. We're doing all these things to the land to keep that production up there. Why do we want to keep the production up there? Hell, we're growing more than we can use now. Farmers want to keep it up there because that's how they make their living. How can I sell it? They can sell it because the government subsidizes it. If it weren't government subsidized, they wouldn't grow it. Some of this land would still be lying idle, and it wouldn't be nearly as abused as it is now. The soil is our river of life. We have to have it. I want to take you just to one other item. I want to talk to you about water. There's salt water in the oceans. There's fresh water on the land. We can't drink the salt water. We can't grow crops with the salt water other than seaweed and a few plants like that. But the crops that we use daily, they're not going to grow in salt water. The water that's on the land, there's actually two kinds of it. There's potable water and there's non-potable water. So much of the water today, ask Flint, Michigan, so much of the water today is actually non-potable. If it's non-potable and you can't drink it, do you want it sprayed on the crops that you're going to eat? I don't. We have crises in this country with forest fires. We have crises in this country from floods. Two extremes. What's causing it? I don't know. I think climate change. I don't know. But we need the science there to help us figure out what it is. If you go to the Great Plains, which is considered to be the breadbasket of the world, it actually grows 1/6 of all the grain that's consumed in the world. If you go to the Great Plains, it covers parts of 8 United States, about 178,000 square miles. And lying underneath it is the High Plains Aquifer. The High Plains Aquifer was initially flooded, saturated by snow and rains coming off the Rocky Mountains. As the earth changed, then that flow has been blocked, so it's no longer coming. And the only thing that's replenishing water in that High Plains Aquifer, growing 1/6 of the world's grain, the only thing that's replenishing it is the 12 to 21 inches of rain that those folks get every year. But they're growing all that grain. They're growing 1/6 of the whole world's grain right there. Where are they getting the water? They're pumping it out of the ground. Major irrigation started in that area about 1950. What's that, 70 years ago? That aquifer is now, in parts of Kansas, it's over 60% depleted. Throughout the whole area of the Great Plains Aquifer, it's over 50% depleted. If something doesn't change, they're estimating by 2060, what's that, 39 years from now? By 2060, that land is not going to be farmable. 1/6 of the grain. I don't know what the percentage of the livestock is that's raised there, but it's high because they have the grain and they have these confined feeding operations. The water that is left in that aquifer used to be the most pure in the world. There was as much water there as there is in Lake Huron, if you can imagine. That's how much water was under that land. But the water that's there now, as they're pumping it out of the ground, they're finding in it pesticides. Something else we use to increase our crop yield. They're finding in it fertilizers. These things are in our food. It's a problem, folks. And I'm gonna let John show us a video. If you could, I would like you right now to go in your programs and look at the closing words and read them yourselves. They're written by Rachel Carson. Rachel Carson, if you don't know who she was a microbiologist, wrote this book back in the 50s. But read those words and listen to them, take heed to them. And I'm going to ask John to show a video of what happened when we didn't take care of our land. I want you to see how the mistakes that we're making create problems. And we're right on the verge of having some of these problems again, and we need to wake up and correct our ways before it happens to us. I'm not old enough, I didn't live through that, but I will tell you this. Doris and I got married in December of 1972. We got married December 30th of 1972. On December 29th, 1972, my best man, Mike Patton, and I were driving from Sullivan to Fort Wayne for the wedding. Best day of my life. And it rained red mud on us. There was a dust storm that originated in Odessa, Texas, that came all the way across Texas and Oklahoma, Missouri, and between Indianapolis and Fort Wayne, the windshield wipers on my V-dub could not keep the red mud off the windshield. We actually had to stop and wait a little while. So that's not that far behind us that we were practicing that poor agriculture. We've improved some, but we still got a long, long way to go. And folks, it's going to take all of us. We're all going to have to make sacrifices. We're going to have to learn that we don't need all these things that we've got, and we're going to have to quit eating our earth. I don't want to be a pessimist. I think there's a future for everybody and everything. We just have to make it happen. Thank you.
In the branches of the forest, in the petals of the marigold, on the shoulder of the mountain, in the vastness of the sea, you will find a brooding sadness over all the ancient watershed. You will see it written plainly on the wind and in the sand. There's a blight upon the mountain, there's a sickness in the evening sky, and we ask the age-old question, can we purge us of this sin? Can we save the little nestling from the venom of the cankerworm? Can we clear the look of anguish from the soft eyes of the dawn? In the thunder, new commandments sound a warning through the wilderness. Let the forest be untainted, let the streams be undefiled, let the waters of the river as they flow down to the ocean be as sweet as in the old days when the mountain stood alone.
We now stand where two roads diverge. But unlike the roads in Robert Frost's familiar poem, they are not equally fair. The road we have long been traveling is deceptively easy, a smooth superhighway on which we progress with great speed, but at its end lies disaster. The other fork of the road, the one less traveled, offers our only chance to reach a destination that assures the preservation of the earth. Again, Rachel Carson.
May the blessed